Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo
Samanda.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to our last December Shotsukihoyo service for the year 2022. Today's service is held in memorial observance of all those family members, relatives, and friends who have passed on in the month of December. And we also warmly welcome Reverend Minister Fujimoto, who will be officiating the service and will be delivering the Dharma message today. Please join me in meditation. Sensei will ring the bell and we'll have a short reading. Please join me in Gassho. Sweet moment of meditation. The quiet moment of peace, when from life's care and turmoil, I find a true release. In silent contemplation, new faith and hope begins, more light and deeper knowledge, new strength grows deep within. Please stand for the opening gatha, Namo Amida Butsu, in the purple book, page 174. And please remain standing for the reading of the three treasures on page 8. So Namo Amida Butsu on 174. is it to be born into human life? Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One? Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth.
I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of awakened enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be free from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in a life of harmony in the spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness.
Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida. Namo Amida.
We will now have the reading of the December Shotsukihoyo honor readings. And as the names are being read, all of those family and friends who wish to Oshoko, please come forward during the reading of the names. Yasuko Kamioka, Akio Kawaoka, Tatsujiru Matsumoto, Sekio Matsuoka, Chiji Oka, Sakoemon Okamura, Nao Otamura, Toshimatsu Otani, Yoshiyuki Sen, Hadoe Otani, Chieko Tsukioka, Scott Tsuruyoshi Uru, Shizuyo Ueda, Toshito Ueda, Wakaru Yamakawa, Tom Yasuda, George Hiroshi Yoshioka, Paul Otani, Tom Hokkaido, Vicky Matilda Edmond, Walter McNeil, Eileen Hamamoto, George Kazumi Matsumoto, Sakuzo Mike Okunori, Chester Hamamoto, George Motoyuki Kikuchi, San Sumio Yamasaki, Sherry Okuyama, Hitoshi Kobayashi, Norman Olson, Alice Misao Okubara, Don Morikawa, Ikotaro Seko, Makoto Ito, Jin Saburo Tsujihara, Hiroshi Taniguchi, Yoshio Yasuda, Yozeno Kikuchi, Marcel Tabata, Kei Matsuda, William Otani, Roy Yamashita. Sensei will now chant the Sambujo on page 24 of the Purple Book, Gyo Byakumon, and the Sutra chanting Amida Kyo on page 103 through the first half. Page 24, Sambujo.
Today, on this occasion of the Shotsuki service for the month of December, the members of our temple families have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Page 103.
人空海世大原官中小知識長老者理法マカモ剣でマカカ書マカカ千年マカ口ありはたシュリアンダガナンダアナンダラノラキョモンハダイインズルハラダカルライマタコヒナアクラアヌルラジョゼト初代弟子行書菩薩マカサ文殊師法寺やいった菩薩賢高大菩薩上昇人菩薩行行聖上初代菩薩有釈大官人と無量昇天大修福二次仏語長老者理法重税裁法八十万六仏道仏世界妙圧極楽合同仏道阿弥陀本現在説法者理法移動学校の意極楽合国修長無修福満州昇楽応用極楽者理法極楽国道七十何十七十何も七十五十改正司法修相利妙成功非国門圧極楽者理法極楽国道執行地悪毒水十万号中非体順に根者流事非変回路根本流理ハリゴ上上老各役位根本流理ハリシャコ釈州名の理言直視地中連下大行者年小式証拠大式陽光釈式釈光百式白光微妙高血者理法極楽国土上中尿税空力将軍武者理法異部国土調査天学黄金理事十夜六時二万だらけ広告修上上位昇誕各位英国長州上下空用他方十万六分即位直地伝統本国門直教業者理法極楽国土長寿尿税空六将仏師者理法非国長中十奇妙雑式市長百国着法務者理大領賓が無名市長聖書宗長長夜六人水和霊門道年長五国合力七宝大分八正道分行税東方道路修長門税恩に大 大質念仏念法念相舎利法尿物一生長実税財宝少々少位者が利部国道部三幕衆舎利法公部国道小無三幕道資料学教部実税少修正改税阿弥陀仏行療法音声論権芸少佐舎利法利部国道義父水路小法五十九法羅門水未妙法二妙百千十楽同時空三門税恩赦大智念上念仏念法念相死心舎利法大部国道長寿尿税有力小
message for this morning will be delivered by Reverend Fujimoto.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be back at the temple again. So today the title is When a Person Dies. And just recently, the last 3 months really, there have been quite a few funeral services to take care of, and at least 4 each month. And we had 2 in the last 3 days and another one after this service. So quite a number of them. And particularly for the minister, these are very, very special times, not just of grieving, but you have this opportunity to meet the families and see how all the connections go within the family and out to the community. And then we get to talk about planning for the service and all of these things. When the actual service comes, the family members are very intent to listen to the Dharma and very appreciative of what the temple has to offer, during these kind of very difficult times. And so it's really not just that, there's that aspect of it, but it's so touching and so deep that makes you really think twice about what is happening. And as I was going through this whole, few months period of this, I was thinking back to article, a chapter. Yeah. Reverend Uno, Professor Taitetsu Uno had written a chapter on when a person dies, and he asked questions like, what happens when a person dies? Where does he or she go? Is there something that lives on forever? What is the meaning of death and dying? And he points out that as Buddhists, as practicing Buddhists, we take these questions very seriously, and the answers to these questions have a direct bearing on how we focus our lives, how we live our lives. And so we come to our process to go through these questions, and this affects us and how we carry ourselves going forward. And he was reflecting upon a time when young family, mother and son, were killed by the father. Very tragic event, and the son's mother came to the sensei, Uno sensei, and asked her, what happens to people when they die? And not a religious question, but just kind of pondering and going through this herself. And so sensei gave her some kind of answer, but kind of encouraging her to continue on a kind of a religious path. And as he was thinking about this further, and I could envision him sitting at his desk at his home and pondering these kind of things. And he says, I live on the outskirts of town, and sometimes the field mice come into my house, and I could hear them in the attic. And he describes it as, the mice are upstairs playing soccer, but I have no idea what they're really doing. And talks about eating meals. We eat meals 3 times a day, but he doesn't have any idea what really happens inside our bodies, from the meal going to the stomach and down the intestine through the liver and pancreas and all of this process that goes on every time we eat, but we don't have a clue as to what's really going on. Right? Driving a car, you get in the car and drive it and go shopping or whatever you need to do, go to visit relatives and such. But the actual workings of the car, the engine, all of these processes, we don't really pay attention to every single detail. Same with when the electricity goes out in the house, right? We just wait until the power goes on again. Maybe we get some flashlights, maybe we light some candles, but we don't try to figure it all out, and we go through this. Wait patiently, it'll go back on, and we take it like this. Someone else's thoughts, same thing. We don't really know what they're thinking about, how their thought process goes. And kind of we leave these things in this area where we don't need to know. It's okay not to know. And so this is kind of connected to, there's a story of the historical Buddha, and one young monk came to him, and the monk's name, Malunkaputra, and he came, and these questions are known as the 14 metaphysical questions. And so he came to the Buddha. These might be questions that monks are talking about, during their study time, and maybe popular questions at the time. Questions like, is the universe finite or not? Is the world eternal or not? And these kind of questions people might ponder, but they don't really come to some kind of conclusion. There's no experience that you could tie it to that makes you conclude that I am right, this is the right answer, right? Are the soul and the body the same, or are they different? When someone becomes enlightened, are they still enlightened when they pass away? Or does that enlightenment go away? These types of questions. And so these are called the metaphysical questions that the Buddha was asked, and the Buddha didn't answer. He refused to answer, in fact. And he thought to spend time on these kind of questions kind of leads the person away from what is valuable in his thought process, in his life. So he refused to answer these types of questions. Malunkaputra, he thought, the Buddha's not answering my question, So he went away to seek another teacher. And so in another way to explain this, there's a very well-known story, maybe you've heard this a number of times, about the poison arrow. Right? So the Buddha talked about the poison arrow, and he says, suppose someone is shot by a poison arrow. So all his friends and relatives are concerned that he was shot, and so right away they want to find a surgeon so they could have the arrow removed and have the wound treated as soon as possible. And what if the wounded man objected, saying, wait a minute, before you pull this arrow out, I would like to know, who shot this arrow? Was it a man? Was it a woman? Was it someone of noble status or someone who was a peasant? What was the bow made of? Was it a big bow? Was it a small bow? Was it made of wood? Was it made of bamboo? What kind of material was this bow made of? And the bow string, was it fiber or was it gut? How about the arrow itself? Was it made of rattan or was it made of straw, a reed? And the feathers on the end, what kind of bird did the feathers come from? And he had questions for every aspect of the bow and the arrow. Right? And so before you extract this arrow, I want to know all about each of these things. We need to find the answers to these questions. So the Buddha asked, if we went about it like this, what would happen? So before all the information is secured, no doubt the poison would have all that much more time to circulate through the body, and maybe, just maybe, this person's going to die. So instead of asking all these questions, the most immediate thing is to remove the arrow quickly and to treat the wound. Don't let the poison spread any further. This is obvious, right? This is obvious. But those kind of metaphysical questions he's pointing out, the same thing. Why are you wasting your time thinking about these things, finding answers to these kind of questions when you still have all these difficulties in your life? Right? So he's redirecting the persons, everyone, to focus on your own life. So Uno Sensei says the sensible thing is to have the poison arrow removed immediately and let the healing process begin. So he's saying, again, the Buddha's teachings is meant to confront practical, everyday problems and find workable solutions. And this is what we should be doing in our life, not to be concerned with questions that cannot be verified by experience. And these questions about death and dying should be approached in the same way. Another one of our favorite teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, he said this: the Buddha always told his disciples not to waste their time and energy in metaphysical speculation. Instead, he directed his disciples toward practical effort. So the same kind of question from Thich Nhat Hanh, Uno Sensei, and from the Buddha. Saying life is so short, don't spend it in these endless metaphysical speculations. They don't bring us any closer to the truth that we need to find in the difficulties in our own lives. So when we look at things in this manner, then when a person dies, we have someone pass away in our families, and our limitations, our inability to know everything, what's going to happen to this person, what happens after the 49 days, what happens after the 1 year, is he going to be okay, is he going to make it to the Pure Land, I'm not sure. These are questions that you can't really answer, and when you confront that, you come to recognize your own limitations and your inability to know everything. And when we come to this limitation, recognizing our limitations, this is revealed to us, right? our perspective is shifted to care for and appreciate what we do have. We do have our loved ones, our friendships, our health, this unrepeatable life. So focus on what we do have instead of wondering about what about maybe, what about this, what about this. And so our focus, life is reframed, death is reframed, death is recognized for what it is. And so it's part of the same equation, and it's no longer feared. It's not something hunting us down, lurking behind. It's not something stalking us. It's just atarimae. Cannot help it. Some of us pass away early. Some of us will age and pass away later on in life. And to recognize this, we see our limitations. And when they talk about, the light of Amida and our shadow that shows, so our limitations is our shadow. We always hear, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow. So the light, the wisdom of Amida, shining upon us, showing our limitations, showing us the shadow that we always have. And both of these aspects play in our lifetime. Okay? So these first two aspects, our own limitations and the light coming to us, we cannot know these if we're stuck in our small, self-centered mind, ego-centered thoughts and questions that come and arise. So this is described as infinite compassion, awakening us. Right? So we grow beyond our small self through this light of Amida, the light of the Dharma, showing us more. It's okay to have our limitations. It's okay to have unanswerable questions. We don't have to just wrestle with it and hope we come to a conclusion. If there's no conclusion, it's okay. Life is filled with infinite compassion if we can truly see all of this happening. And death is also filled with the same infinite compassion. When we lose someone, there is pain and difficulty, but we also come to other aspects. They bring us this teachings of impermanence. They help us to see clearer and better. They are part of this light that shows us our limitations, our shadow. Okay, so they become part. Death is also a part of this infinite compassion. So when we come here, we say Namo Amida Butsu. Namo is I, inseparably intertwined with Amida Butsu, this infinite reality that's all surrounding all of us in life and in death. In Namo Amida Butsu, we complete ourselves in identity with this infinite. We are part of this. We become part of this. We've always been there, but we come to recognize that we are part of this, cannot be separated. And this is the lesson of the Nembutsu teachings and our reconnection every time we recite the Nembutsu. So please join me in Gassho, and we'll conclude this today. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. Please all rise for closing gatha from the Purple Book, Onryoku-san 2, on page 220.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida.
Thank you, and this will conclude today's Shotsukihoyo service. Are there any special announcements from anyone? If not, I'd like to say thank you for all of you to attend today, this afternoon. And there will be light refreshments served in the hall by the December Toban. I'd like to thank the December Toban for taking care of the Enmanji. And the flower arrangements today were by Becky Brennan. And music was played by Dr. Kent. And the Sensei, of course, not to overlook Sensei, but thank you very much for making the trip out in this cold weather. Thank you very much for our Shotsukihoyo service. And also to Ty for taking care of the videotaping of today's service. And I understand that we'll be able to view it at a later date whenever it's convenient for everyone else. So I think I have mine. Oh, of course, the ringing of the concho by George Tao, and he has also set up the Enmanji for today's service. Okay, thanks very much, everyone. And there will be refreshments in the hall, so please join us. Thank you.